Hello and welcome. My name is Ayako Izaki, and co-founder and managing partner at Training Aid. I'm going to be facilitating the session today. In this edition of a Training Aid live session today, we're excited to welcome Kelsey Toner of Be a Better Guide project, who will be sharing practical tips and expert insights on how to recruit and train extraordinary guides. Before we get started and hear from Kelsey about all these exciting tips and advice, here's just a couple of reminders for those of you who are joining live. The recording of this video session is going to be available afterwards on the Training Aid website, and you will receive a link and a reminder to access the recording. During this session, we encourage you to use the chat function as you see on the right-hand side of your window, to share your comments and questions. And at the end of the session, we will also have some chance to ask additional questions to Kelsey. So be sure to be thinking about what you're most interested in asking Kelsey and learning more about during the session, and feel free to use the chat, as I said, to interact with each other and with us. And with that, over to you, Kelsey.
Okay, thank you so much for that lovely introduction. Welcome, everybody. We've got all kinds of people who are piling in. I'm sure we're going to get more over the next couple of moments. So those were the housekeeping items. Thank you very much, Ayako. One of the things you may have seen on the screen, but we'd love to know who's here. So feel free. We're going to be active in this webinar as possible. We all need to burn the calories, right? Especially we're spending so much time in front of the computer. So go ahead and type in your name, where you're tuning in from. We'd love to find out who is all here. I'll just show you one more thing here. Yeah, we've got a free giveaway at the end. I like to incentivize folks to stick around, and this giveaway is fantastic, and is the Tour Leader coaching card. You may have heard about it in some of the promotion of the workshop. But just stick around to the end, and we're going to show you a URL where you can go and actually download this resource. And what's really nice about this workshop is we're going to talk about how you can use it. And we'll pull it up and use a couple examples of where we might use this Tour Leading coaching card. So we're going to dive in very, very quick second. I want to see if I can pull up the chat just here on the side. Cool. We'll watch as some of those chats come in. Hopefully you're seeing that window on the side. And I did want to turn on my camera for a quick second. Turn camera on. Oh, I have to share the screen. There we go. There we are. I just wanted to say a quick hello. I'm actually coming to you live from Ontario, Canada, and we're here at this beautiful, beautiful cottage, and it's such a pleasure to be here with you, with Ayako, with the Training Aid team, and with all of you. Thanks for making time. I know for many of you, you might be over in Europe, some here from North America, and I think maybe even someone from down Toronto, which is just down the way. So just a quick hello to let you know that we are live, and it's a pleasure to be here with you. So generally, I'm going to keep the camera off, but I did want to say a very quick hello. So let me pull up that slide again, because I'm going to have a few things I'll be sharing, and this is going to be helpful. So for those of you who haven't heard of me before, this is like the 1 minute rundown of who I am. So I've been an outdoor guide and international kind of global guide, tour director, tour leader for about the last 10 years. So not a huge amount of time, honestly, and I know probably in the audience we've got people who've been in this industry for much, much longer. But I had a really a kind of amazing journey. And so when I first started working, the bottom line was I was not that great of a tour guide. You know, I knew after I'd finished college and university here in Canada, I wanted a bit of a break from school and wanted to, as many of you perhaps, get outside, enjoy nature, see some of the world, these sorts of things. And so I was really drawn to tour leading and tour directing. I quickly found out that I didn't actually have a lot of the skills to be a fantastic guide. You know, I'd get comments that like, oh, you know, Kelsey seemed nice enough, but wasn't, you know, seemed like there was some seasoning to do. And then I started picking up with some bigger companies, one Backroads Tours, which employed over 300 guides. I was very quickly in the bottom, percentage of these guides. And so it was kind of a turning point for me when I realized, well, if I really want to keep doing this, I better get serious about it and figure out, well, what makes an amazing guide. So I read every book that I could get my hand on in terms of customer service. I actually worked a lot with just incredible peers, incredible guides, learned a lot from being in the field. But the biggest thing I did was I started asking my guests, really talking to them and saying, who is your most memorable guide of all time, or what's your most incredible facilitated travel experience? And you get some really magnificent stories and just these glowing reviews of guides or tour leaders or people that just helped create an amazing experience from 15 years ago, 20 years ago, beyond. And those memories really stuck with them because of those guides. And so it was this sort of basically obsessing about Lead Amazing Tours that kind of created this turnaround in my career. So once I started leading amazing tours, right away online evaluations went through the roof, sorry. And for the next 35 week-long tours, I received over 350 individual guest reviews with an average ranking of 9.8 out of 10. So this was a huge turnaround. Scores basically from evaluations of my guests from the bottom 10% of the company to the top 10% across all levels of experience. These rave reviews started flooding in. Just the type of reviews that you dream about, when you're an employer, you're working in the field, and I know for many of you, your online reviews matter a huge, huge amount. And it's amazing when you start getting this right, just how easily those reviews start coming. And that transitioned into me designing and building tours and experiences from the ground up. And then, of course, into tour guide training, coaching a lot of brand new guides and tour leaders, tour directors, just how to be incredible. And this recognition kind of culminated this past year, just a wonderful, wonderful honor that I've been shortlisted for the 2015 World Guide Awards. And this was based on just nominations from some of my previous guests over the years. So one wonderful honor. But did all this happen because I was born with some special gift or talented, all this sort of stuff? Am I just bragging here? Of course not. This is the big point. All this happened because I invested time, money, effort into becoming an extraordinary guide. I learned how to lead amazing tours, and that's kind of at the core of what we do today. And so we're talking about a transformation that can happen with your team of guides. As I know today we're going to be talking a lot about recruiting and training. I want you to know that these kinds of results are possible for your team. And I've devoted myself entirely to basically creating online spaces where guides and tour businesses can learn from one another. And that's essentially the Be a Better Guide project. It kind of grows out of this belief that we have at the team, that anyone, anywhere can be an incredible guide. And so the Be a Better Guide project brings the world's top tour guides, tour businesses together to learn from one another. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, which is the great news. Share best practices, create a community. And Be a Better Guide is also a business. So to help fund a lot of the free training that we put out there in our outreach programs, we also create premium online training for guides and tour businesses taught by award-winning skilled tour guide trainers. We have an online coaching program, Lead Amazing Tours, which helps activity operators all over the world create, sell, and market experiences. And we've just launched Be a Better Guide Academy, where you can enroll your entire team of tour leaders into a world-class online training program. Really exciting stuff. We'll give you a link at the end if you're interested in learning more about that. But let's dive in here. I would love to know, what is your biggest challenge when it comes to recruiting tour guides? You may have seen that on the opening slide, but just type in the chat here. Like I said, I'm going to be after you to be active. I don't want to be. I don't want to feel like I'm just screaming into an empty room here. So let's get interactive. What's your biggest challenge when it comes to recruiting tour guides? And we'll keep an eye on the chat as we're going through here. I do see some people have chimed in. We've got 9. Hopefully I've pronounced that right. 9 from Myanmar. That's fantastic. The slides are way too blurry. Can't read them. Gosh, I'm sorry to hear that. I'm not sure if there's an easy fix. Sometimes you can increase the quality of the broadcast. Yako, you might have some insight there, but I'll be saying the most important things out loud. But I know sometimes with your internet connection that can really affect the quality of the video stream. Okay, so I see Heather Skipper from Annapolis. Awesome, awesome, wonderful. Francesco from Seville. Sevilla. Bienvenido. We have Molly from Ecuador. Fantastic. This is awesome, guys. Hi, Anna. Welcome, welcome. George, it looks like, from Chile. Oh, this is fantastic, guys. Okay, cool. And Iaco's going to be active in the comments there if you do have any questions. So we'll keep an eye on there, but when you do get a moment, what is your biggest challenge when it comes to recruiting tour guides? Go ahead and type it in there on the side. I'm going to push on here as we wait for some of those responses, because today, let's take a big step back. Building a successful team of guides comprised of two components. One, hiring and recruiting. Excuse me, finding the right people, getting them on your team, and two, training and development. We've got a ton to cover in this workshop, so I tend to move pretty quickly. You'll be able to come back and review this material, but hopefully you've got some notes. Hopefully you've got your door closed and your cell phone off. Let's go. Hiring and recruiting, shortcuts to success. One, we want to create a permanent job description on your website. This is super important. This is a best practice of some of the best practice of some of the most successful companies in the industry, right? So this is hiring and recruiting. Thing one, permanent job description. Even though you only hire at certain times of the year, potential candidates are discovering your company every day. A permanent job profile will make your life easier when it comes time to hire, and it gives you the opportunity to whet the appetite of job seekers, right? And you know this. You know this when we've been out searching for a job. Oftentimes you get to a company, you discover a company, you find a position that really excites you, and they may not be hiring at that moment, but you want to know everything about that job or that job description, right? So this section of the website is aimed only at job seekers and should be useful to them. It can answer questions, it can inform them, most importantly, about how your hiring process works, the general timeline, these sorts of things. Oftentimes you see this as a career tab or jobs in the footer of websites. That can be a very easy place to put it on your website. Footers are very easy to manipulate, and if you've got a web person, obviously they can help you create this type of page. But this area of the site is aimed exclusively at people that might want to work for you. So this should be very separate from where you're selling your tours, your services, activities, those sorts of things. It should have fairly obvious stuff here, but a general job profile, things like interests and passions a person should have if they're considering applying, responsibilities in the role, and like I said, how the application process works and what they need to do to apply. And what that could be different for you depending on your setup, of course. So if you do first round of online applications, and then do you have maybe a phone interview process, or do you have group hiring events? All of these sorts of things. Approximately what time of year are you hiring? When do you start accepting applications? These are all super common questions that people are having on your website right now that they don't have answers to. Some other information you can include: duties and responsibilities of the role or various roles, required social skills or behavioral competencies, any skills or certifications. This is also a great heads up for people that, let's say you do some sort of whitewater outdoor adventure thing, and if you need your staff to be certified in some particular way, if that's on the website, they might decide to pursue that certification on their own or get those special skills certs, those sorts of things. Generally, it's okay not to include information about financial compensation until candidates have reached later stages of the interview. We get that question a lot. Do we need to put up salary and how compensation works? And generally, that's okay to keep private until you are down to people near the end of the hiring process. But, and here's the big but, if you do offer higher than average salary or some really great perks or benefits for working for your company, I would definitely highlight that in your job profile. Don't shy away from that. If you know that your perks make your workplace one of the best places to work in your city or town, then you've got to communicate that. And we're going to come back to that, thinking about not just posting a job advertising and sitting back, but actually thinking about marketing your job to people. Right? This is going to be a big important switch. Some other best practices. Just before we do that, I think we've got a poll. We're going to try and do some coordination between here, Ontario, in rural, I'm up in the woods and the lakes, and all the way over to Germany. Let's see if we can get this poll up here. How many people have a permanent job description on their website right now? I'd love to know if you do, if you don't, if you're considering it. So hopefully Ayako can pop up that poll. We've preloaded them into Webinar Jam here. Hopefully you'll see them on the right. Just go ahead and maybe, I think what we can do is show the results of that poll. But again, it takes a couple seconds to get all this stuff loaded, so I'll press on. But tell me right now, do you have that permanent job description, even though you're only hiring certain times of the year? So other best practices, right? That's what we were talking about. Build and develop an FAQ section. Ayako, did you
Sorry, Casey, I just wanted to mention that in response to the earlier question about the biggest challenge with hiring, I just wanted to mention, so Molly has said finding someone who's knowledgeable together with having a good personality, a great point, I think. And Anna has also mentioned that character is very important, soft skills are also important. And I think that the poll results are also coming in. Do you see that as well, Kelsey, on the side? So as I see it now, 57% of the people who responded say I do not, and 43% I do. And I think that that's pretty much everyone who participated in it have already answered.
That's great. So, that's really neat functionality. It's the first time we're using polls, so that's great. So we've got approximately 40% of the people that do, and yep. I think one of the things here too is we often think that, oh well, I'm just a small organization. Maybe you're a small business. Maybe you're only hiring a couple people a year. Oh, why should I have a permanent job description? And I'm telling you that it's such a best practice. It's going to, we're going to cover a few more tips here in just a moment, but it's really going to give you all the benefits that the larger companies receive when they do this sort of thing, and that's keeping people interested. More people will know about your job. The ones that are the most interested can learn all about your process. So hopefully by the end of this section we'll see a few more people considering doing it if they want to kind of have an edge when it comes to recruiting and hiring. Cool. So we're talking about building and developing a frequently asked questions section. This is dead easy. It's one of the easiest things that you can do, and it's going to save you time and save you lots of headaches. So I'm sure in your hiring season or when you're communicating with potential candidates, they're sending you questions, probably directly to your email. And what you want to start doing is creating a master list of all of these questions that you receive, because if you've been in this game for a couple years or more, you know that those same questions are going to come up over and over, and that if one person is asking them, there's definitely people out there who have the same question but didn't ask it. So these might be things like, do I need a second language to apply? How does scheduling work? Or i.e., how much work can I expect? Is the job seasonal? Are there any benefits included? These sorts of questions. And then you take responses and, of course, make it public. You put a little FAQ tab in this job profile section, and it's frequently asked questions, not about your tour, not from the consumer or your guest perspective, but from your potential hires. What are their frequently asked questions? And then you can direct people, say who write in, with these same questions, you can direct them to that FAQ, and you don't need to write as many emails. All right, another tip. Collect email addresses from interested candidates. It's very easy to build an online form these days where interested parties could receive email updates when positions become available or employment opportunities arise. So this list, imagine that growing email list, even if it's not huge, even if it's just 10, 15 people over the course of an entire year, that list will help you with the launch of your hiring season. But it's also a way for you to build a relationship with potential candidates. You can send things like news, company updates, you can showcase some of the fun things that you're doing with your company, why it's a great place to work, these sorts of things. So an online form builder, I honestly basically always recommend Google Forms. They've just done made a redo of the Google Forms interface. It's very, very simple and 100% free. It's so easy to create an online Google form or have someone on your web team just have a box where they can submit their email if they'd love to stay informed about your employment opportunities. Another best practice, show how amazing it is to work for your company. There's many ways to showcase this, but a lot of them start with that kind of I believe statement, right? So the story of your company, instead of just saying what you do, talk about what you believe and share as much of your passion. You know, if you lead walking tours in, oh, I don't know, so we'll say in Paris, if you say, you know, we believe that one of the most incredible way to experience Paris is on foot by, you know, a lamplight in the evening times, and that's why we created Paris by Night. You know, and talking about why the passion that you bring to your project and what you believe, and that's going to draw in other people who believe that too, and might want to work for you, right, or drawn to that. You can also showcase what it's like to work in your company, so company culture, if you do staff parties or celebrations, or you do maybe giving back, any of those sorts of things. Try and capture that in video. Video is such a powerful tool for doing this sort of stuff. And interviewing present staff and asking why they enjoy working for you. What do they love about the job? I'm sure some of your long-term employees would love to do this sort of thing, and it can really showcase that, wow, this is a special place to work. So there's a few examples here of other companies' online job descriptions. So I've got the links here, but you can basically go to any one of these three companies. I just pulled them up as examples who have great permanent job description sections. One is G Adventures, I have Gap Adventures up here, but is G Adventures, and go in as if you were going to be a tour guide for them, and you're going to see a very fleshed out and developed section. Same with Backroads Tours. They have an excellent section that talks about the leader lifestyle. If you want to work for Backroads, what is their process, what you need to do, etc. And Colette Tours, same sort of thing. Just go in as if you wanted to work for them, as if you were the potential candidate, and you can see some best practices from those three companies. Boom, we've got to keep moving. Create an ideal staff avatar. There is my absolutely non-copyrighted image to the movie Avatar. See, we've heard of potentially the ideal customer avatar, and it's an exercise that you can do, and it really helps with marketing to target individual customers, right, to market directly to them, to their beliefs. But I'm going to talk about the ideal staff avatar. Very similar, but we have to shift our mentality a little bit. Basically, if you haven't heard of this exercise, you want to take the time to think very carefully who your ideal staff would be, right? We often can get really negative about hiring. I hear this all the time. People say things like, I just can't find the right staff. You know, why would anyone want to work for us? I wish I knew how to find 5 more guides like so-and-so, like your star employee. Maybe it's you. How do I find more people like me? I put out job advertisements, but there's never much interest. There's just no good people to hire, right? We've all potentially, if you've been in this, again, hiring and recruiting phase, maybe face some of these negative emotions. But here's the reality. You need to market and sell your job offer. The most common reasons tour companies have trouble finding applicants is that their ideal employees don't know that they're hiring. This is it. This is the big news flash. Maybe you kind of knew this in the back of your head, but this is the big reason that you can't find the ideal people, is because you're not able to get in front of them. They don't know that your job exists. They don't know you exist. So the offer is not marketed and sold in a way that resonates. That's the second half of the problem. That maybe they did come across your job ad, but it didn't capture them. It didn't pique their interest in a way that it could if we had used this avatar. So the ideal staff avatar, essentially you create a detailed sketch of the perfect person you would like to hire. It's kind of a blend between your imagination, a bit of creative license, and then basing it in as much reality as possible. And then you're going to map out their entire life in great detail. And this is really, really important. You're going to use this profile to then go out and find your dream staff or find people just like them. So like I said, you're going to do this exercise, and we're going to create a very detailed sketch. Questions like, how old are they, specifically? And people ask, well, can I have more than one? Yes, you can have more than one ideal staff avatar. That's not a problem at all, but make sure you take the time to do this exercise properly for each profile, for each avatar. Where are they from? What do they like doing? What are their hobbies? What do they do on weekends? Where do they shop? What social networks do they use? What other jobs would they work if they aren't working for you? And importantly, what are their fears, right? What are their frustrations? What gets them excited? What gets them motivated? What do they love doing? More specific, the better. More specific, the better. Don't say between 20 and 40 years old. Decide exactly how old they are and how they celebrate their birthdays, right? We're going for detail. Don't say they love mountain biking. Say they're part of a mountain biking club that meets up twice a week and they shop at this particular bike shop because the guy at that bike shop's a jerk, right? We want to really, really tune in. And I've done this. We're going to go through an example that's hopefully going to bring this to life, and you're going to see how powerful this is. Details are going to vary hugely depending on your country, the nature of the job, your company. But at least 30 minutes to sketch out this fictional person. Yes, you can create multiple profiles, but don't skimp out on the detail. So you then use this profile on creating your job offer. You can refine the copy, or basically words of your job description, as if you were speaking directly to that person, right? And here's when I would love to spend more time on this in the workshop. I've had to trim this section back a lot because of timing. But this is when we're really tapping into their emotional landscape, right? Mention their frustrations, but draw them in with what gets them excited. You know, is it the working outdoors element? You know, is it a flexible scheduling? You know, is it the opportunity to earn a lot in gratuities, or maybe work with an amazing team of coworkers, or just to be outside of an office, right? Tap into those emotional, centers when you're creating your offer, instead of that bland just job description. This is where we get into the example. So 3, your avatar is going to inform where you post your job ads, because that's one of the most common questions I get is, well, where can I post my job advertisement? I posted it everywhere, but nobody came. I suck. Nobody wants to work for me. Well, here's where this avatar comes into play. Here's my example. So I did an ideal staff avatar. Basically, I imagined that I have a mountain biking company, and I work in Banff, Alberta, so this is in the Canadian Rockies, and I needed some mountain bike guides. We leave, this is a fictional company, but we do maybe family-friendly mountain bike rides. It's a way to get outdoors, best way to experience the Rockies, but basically I need staff, and my ideal staff happens to be Billy, and I created the sketch. I won't go through all of the details for you, but we'll look at how it's going to inform my next steps. So Billy, he's 21 years old. He's a college graduate. You know, that's kind of ideal for me, for the level of education, for the type of clients that we tend to draw. We really would love to have those university graduates or somebody who's in college. Looking for a job where he can work outdoors. That's super important to him. He's nervous about earning enough money because he's probably got a bit of student debt or something like that, but really doesn't want to spend his summer inside, right? So what are their hobbies? Well, like we were talking about in the example before, Billy is big into mountain biking, so it's a mountain biking club. So what I did when I was creating this avatar is actually Googled mountain biking clubs or groups in Banff. I'm not from Banff. I don't know the area at all. Sure enough, I found a mountain biking club that had a community bulletin board on their website where basically anyone could go in and post it. I'm going to go and make sure my job offer is on that community bulletin board of that mountain biking club. See how this is going? Previous work experience. Well, I thought that Billy probably has had outdoor jobs before, and I happen to know, but you could find this out, that to work anywhere in Banff, in the national parks in Alberta, basically in the Rockies, you need to have a certificate from the Interpreters Guiding Association. Basically, it's like a little stamp that says, yes, you can work as a guide in the Rockies. Well, turns out, I looked up the Interpreters Guiding Association. They have a bi-weekly newsletter, and it even has a section for job offers, because after they give out their certificates, they keep everyone's email, and they want to help people get those great jobs. So I can get my job offer in there. If I didn't think about this, or maybe where Billy had worked in the past, I may not have known about this newsletter. Let's keep going. We're not stopping there. Well, Billy probably shops at the local bike shops in Banff. Maybe he's a gearhead. He's got bikes, comes in for tune-up. So I just Googled. Yep, sure enough, 2 bike shops there in Banff. You can talk to the manager. I saw one of them had a really active Instagram account. That's where a lot of their community kept up with the bike shop. So maybe you could create an image of your offer to share, talk to the manager, and see how you can get your offer out to their community. And again, it's probably going to be in his best interest too. Yeah, oh, that's great. You know, people are always looking for mountain biking jobs or things related to biking. We'd love to share your job offer. Billy likes to relax by doing yoga. He's a little bit hippie. I don't think he's got dreads. We want a degree of hygiene with our guides. But sure enough, 3 yoga studios in Banff all have really active Facebook pages. I just searched yoga studios. Think that's a spot I could put the job offer? Heck yes. I'm going to hit up all 3. What brands resonate with Billy? Well, we have a store called Mountain Equipment Co-op here in Canada. If you're traveled or been to the United States, from the United States, it's very similar to REI, basically a big outdoor store. So Billy may have worked at a MEC, worked at that type of store. It attracts a lot of outdoor people. Sure enough, Mountain Equipment Co-op has a newsletter and an online forum where he could post the job opportunity. Where would Billy search for an outdoor job? Right? I Googled basically, you know, what would Billy be Googling if he was trying to find an outdoor job, like outdoor jobs, Banff, this thing, and I found this new site that I didn't know existed before called wildernessjobs.ca, and that's .canada. And so in there, it's an entire system devoted to outdoor jobs, connecting employers to employees. Fantastic place to list your job profile. And monster.ca is one of the top results that came up. That's a sort of a job-seeking site here in Canada. Where does your ideal employee spend their time online? Well, Billy probably is on Craigslist and Kijiji. These are, I wonder how global they are, but you probably heard of them. They're basically online, what's the word? Buying and selling places. Classifieds, that's it, online classifieds. So he's probably on there looking for used bikes. He may even be going on there for other community reasons, so I can get something on Kijiji in the mountain biking section, right? Maybe, I think it's very possible to do job postings in there, and if I can get something in the mountain biking section, that would be great. Well, if you're in the Canadian Rockies, let me tell you, you're not mountain biking in the middle of winter. You are probably skiing. In fact, my Billy loves skiing. Not a snowboarder, but he's a skier. There's a Facebook group that I found where people share a ride back and forth between ski resorts in the winter. And I know that Billy's probably doing some skiing in the winter, might be involved with these groups. I don't know for sure, but if I'm trying to get in front of Billy, I could definitely post in that Facebook group. Even though it's about sharing rides back and forth between the mountains, I'm going to bring my job advertisement to people. We want to go to where they are. Don't assume they're going to find you. You see what's going on here. We're being sneaky. Got lots of pro tips. Hopefully you guys are getting excited in the comments here. You see what we're saying. We're not going to sit back and just wait for people to find our job advertisement. We are going to go detective. We're going to go Sherlock. We're going to find out where they are and put it in front of them. Pro tips. Imagine you're searching for a job as your avatar. We mentioned this before. What are the keywords you would search in Google? For me, in this example, mountain biking jobs. Summer jobs, Banff, best outdoor jobs in the Canadian Rockies. Type it in, see what comes up. Doing this exercise, in Google I found a publication I didn't know existed called Canadian Cycling Magazine. It's articles about the best mountain biking in the Rockies and across Canada. Very, very cool. I went and looked at their blog. They have a forum. They've got a Twitter account. And maybe they agreed to tweet out 5 or 6 times to their followers about your cool job opportunity where you can be on a bike for the entire spring, summer, fall. Very, very cool. So think about how your candidates, your ideal candidates, are job searching, and that can lead you to opportunities like these. Another pro tip. Just as important as where you share your job opportunity is where you don't share it. Right? If your ideal staff likely doesn't use LinkedIn that much, then don't bother with LinkedIn. If they are probably not at the library, you know, the big bulletin boards in front of your library, then don't put posters there. Right? Your energy is going to be much better spent thinking creatively about how to get in front of your ideal employees. Referral bonuses. Boy, we're moving quick. It's a good thing I'm standing. I'm using this stand desk right now because I get pretty excited during these workshops. It's good, but if I do pass out, Yakko will just take over and roll with it. Referral bonuses, do's and don'ts. We've got another poll. It's time to use those fingers, folks. Who in the audience is familiar with referral programs? right? So referral programs for getting new employees. We'll pop that poll up here. I'd love to know, do you use a referral program? 2, have you participated in one before? Maybe you were hired or were a referrer or referee. I know what they are, but don't use them. Or lastly, I don't know what a referral program is. Any answer is fine. No judgment here. And we'll have Jaco chime in once we get some results from the poll.
Yeah, the poll's up, and I'm seeing number 4 getting a lot of answers. So 80% at this point.
Okay, don't know what a referral program is? Oh my gosh, you guys are in the right place, because we're going to talk about what a referral program. That's awesome. That is good news. And hopefully you're going to start considering using a referral program once we get through this, because it has a lot of advantages. How does it work? How does an employee referral program typically work? Well, it encourages a company's existing employees to select and recruit suitable candidates from their social networks, from their own lives. And as a reward, the employer typically pays a referring employee a referral bonus, typically in the form of a cash payment after a successful hire. So why would you consider doing this? Well, when you have a referred candidate, they come with a built-in reference, and on occasion, inside information about who that person is, their background, whether they're friends, colleagues, or a friend of a friend. You're going to have some more information than if they were just coming cold or just applying cold to your website and you've never seen them before. All of this, and studies show that using a referral program leads to much shorter hiring time, typically a higher rate of acceptance, and generally those referred hires stick around longer than other employees. And this is documented in lots of different areas of the economy. So we're going to talk about some do's and don'ts, and hopefully this is going to help convince you that this is something worth considering. So don't offer trivial amounts of money as a referral bonus. In my experience, I've encountered $200 to $300, this is US dollars, and as high as $500 for specific roles. So that means after, let's say I refer my friend to come and work at the company. I refer them to my employer. They're interviewed, goes well, they're a successful candidate, then I would be paid the $200, $300, or sometimes as high as $500, again, for the specific role. So in a couple of the companies I've worked for, they were really looking for a particular maybe language that was spoken or a particular trait. So they needed a Spanish-speaking guide, really badly for the summer, so they would up that referral bonus to incentivize people to do this. And so while this may seem like a lot of money, we have to really wrap our heads around the cost of hiring and training. And hiring and training a new employee is extremely expensive. And here's the other thing that you can keep in mind. A lot of times we're not calculating the expense of our own time. If you've done this before, oh baby, you know how long it takes, how many hours you spend trying to recruit new people, going through your online applications, doing phone interviews. All of those steps take an enormous amount of your time, and that comes with a cost. And these $200-300 to incentivize, to motivate your team to get some help with this task is hugely, hugely cheap when you start thinking about the opportunity cost of your own time to spend on your business. Keep going here. Don't give away money before new employees have done some work for you. You always want to tie this to a successful hire. So you wouldn't say, okay, we are going to give away $300 just for getting just for referring somebody. So say I could go to 20 of my friends and say, hey, everybody, fill out the application form, and you're going to pay me out for each one of those applicants. No. Only tie it to your successful hires, meaning maybe they get through training, maybe they lead their first successful tour. Be very transparent about when that point is. Is it after training? Is it after? I wouldn't wait till after the full season, but certainly I think it's okay to wait after a probationary period, after one tour or something like that. You don't want to limit the referral program only to your guides. You can use your office staff or even alumni as well. So you may want to consider paying out to that referral bonus to people who work in your office, because they probably have a bunch of connections as well. Don't hide the fact that you give out referral bonuses. Be honest and transparent. This system is used, like I said, in all kinds of different areas of the economy. It's very acceptable, but be honest and transparent, and encourage your people who are referring, like your employees, to be transparent as well. We don't want to hide the fact that they're going to receive some benefit if that other person is hired. We're just going to be transparent about it. Don't make the process clunky, cold, cumbersome, or difficult. I have seen some brutal ones. People think that, okay, well, this has got to be really official, and so they make it into this difficult, like 4 or 5 step process. I remember I had to, print out a form. I had to get it, signed, and then I had to fax it somewhere. Like, make this as painless as possible. I.e., we're in the digital age. You can make digital forms. So we're going to get into the do's here now. Do have that referral form for referees to fill out. This is one of the advantages that you're getting, is they come from an employee, so you want to tap that employee for information about them. So potential questions that you can have on this form. And again, it could be a Word document. Google Forms, look into it. It's so good. That way they don't have to download a Word document, edit a Word document, print or save it and send it back. It's going to be so much easier for you to use a digital form to do this. So ask the following questions. How long have they known the candidate? This is of your employees, right? The referrers. How well do they know them? The nature of the relationship. What about the candidate's strengths, weaknesses, why they would be a good hire? So I've seen some companies have a list of discrete skills and have referrers score the candidates, maybe from 0 to 5 on things like guest service skills. What's their ability to connect with guests? Would it be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 being high? Teamwork, leadership, technical skills. If it was that mountain biking example, how do they have the skills it takes to do the repairs and these sorts of things? Do be specific on the types of people you're recruiting. Do have an interview process. We're not going to bypass any of that sort of thing. Don't just say, okay, this is a friend of employee X, therefore they're in, put them in the field. Still go through the interview. You want to meet these people, vet them. And of course, do start early in the year. It takes time for people to do this, and you might be thinking, well, shouldn't people be doing this anyway? And the question is, we're all very busy people. We all have lots of priorities. So what you're doing is you're just lining up the incentives. Sure, people might naturally want to encourage their friends to apply, but we're going to incentivize it. Right? We're going to make sure that everybody's on board. We're going to reward people for putting in a little bit of work for us, basically, right? I don't just want you to refer your friend if you have time. I want you to actively think about all the people in your lives and refer or let us know or encourage those people to apply who you think would kick butt at this job, right? We got to reward people for that extra work, and that's where that bonus comes in. A couple pro tips. Use your entire network to recruit talent. While they may not be eligible for a reward, encourage and nurture relationships so they feel welcome to refer talent into your organization. So this could be people like your alumni, like previous employers. It could be partners. It could be vendors or contractors, even your own customers. Let everybody know that you're looking to hire. Think of that hiring season as ramping up. I can't tell you how many times I was working as a tour guide for, let's say, Backroads Tours, and I was leading hiking and biking outdoor trips all over the world, and the guests themselves were saying, oh my gosh, I have this niece, I have this nephew, I know I have a friend who would love to do this job. Can I put them in touch with you? How can they get this wonderful job that you have? Your own guests might have people they want to refer to work for you, and if they don't know they're hiring, then they're certainly not going to let their social networks know about it either. So for this extended net, I wouldn't recommend paying out the bonuses like in the referral program, but I do want you to think about using them, and your vendors too, and your subcontractors. Just think about it. I mentioned this briefly, but most people don't refer just because of the reward, meaning, okay, yeah, I'm going to refer a candidate if I get $300, but I'm not going to bother if it's only 50 or 100. Oftentimes, they are referring because they want to help their friends they see an opportunity for their peers and they want to share. Maybe they want to work with their friends. So there are incentives that already exist for people to do it, but we want to reward people if they're doing work for us. Okay, we've got to keep pushing on, keeping an eye on that chat. If at any point you do have questions, just fire them in there, and we're going to keep an eye. And we'll, of course, have questions at the end. Let's move on to the training and development. Hopefully that section got you a little bit excited. You had a couple ideas of how you can tackle hiring and training. But now we've got them. Now they're with you. Oh gosh, what do we do? Poll time. All right, here we go. How does your training program work? It's just a quick poll to get a sense of how you guys do things. A, we train at the beginning only. B, we train at the beginning and have a year-end staff evaluation. And C, we do all the above plus mid-season check-ins. So again, no judgment. A, B, or C, where do you fall? Use that poll on the right. We're going to wrap our heads around how people in the room here, people who maybe even watching the replay or recording of this, just think about where you fall in here.
I'm seeing at this point number 3. 100%, or no, that's not true. Number 3 is 67%. Number 1, we train at the beginning, is 33 at this point.
Cool, that's fantastic. Yeah, you can kind of get the sense that I'm biased towards some of these answers, but it's just to provide you some reflection, some insights on where you can grow and develop your own training programs. So for those 67% of you who are using mid-season check-ins, that is a fantastic practice, right? It's fantastic practice to guide people partway through the season. We're going to look at some ways to do that. Most important characteristic of a world-class training program: collect and share feedback with your guides. This is it. I should have made it its own slide, but you need to be collecting and sharing feedback with your guides. The ABL principle, we'll talk a lot about this in our learning programs and Lead Amazing Tours, but ABL stands for Always Be Learning. We're always learning, a commitment to high standards. And I talk about, because we're a little bit Euro-based, let's talk about those footballers, those soccer players at the highest level. They're better than 99% of all the football players out in the world, but they employ the ABL principle. Think like a professional athlete. Every day they're out there, they're training, they're practicing, they're working on their skills, they're dribbling, they're kicking, they're doing weight training, they're exercising, they're scrimmaging. They're constantly striving to be the best they can be, and that's what we want to bring, that kind of work ethic, that type of philosophy to our tour guides. We can always be better. No matter how great your tour is, no matter how great or experienced a guide you are, you can always be better. So this Feedback 500 is the engine for growing and developing your tour or activity business, but also for managing and coaching your team of guides. And by the Feedback 500, I just mean that continually collecting and sharing feedback. A lot of us know this, but we don't execute, right? So how do we become these feedback fanatics? Growth for your guides can come in 4 main areas. 1, self-reflection and analysis, which you can facilitate and encourage. 2, company performance reviews. 3, coworker and peer evaluations. And lastly, and most importantly, guest evaluations. You should be routinely collecting and sharing feedback from as many of these sources as possible, right? So not just doing one. Depending on how your co-working works, that might fit in, it may not fit in, but as many of them as possible. Pro tip. Bam, we've got a lot of pro tips coming in. In your evaluations, always separate the tour from the evaluation of the tour leader or guide. Super important. For your customer evaluations, separate the evaluation of the tour from the evaluation of the guide, with a question that might look like this: how would you rate the overall performance of your leader? Ensure that there's a place to include the name of the guide and a comment section where guests can leave more specific feedback, i.e. don't only use numbers. You might just want to say, how would you rate your performance of your leader between 0 and 5 or 0 and 10? That's okay, and that's actually a good idea because you can track progress through time, but also have that comment section where they can leave more feedback, or if they do leave a low score or a really high score, they can chime in. Now you might be thinking, Again, I'd love to spend more time on this, but we're always trying to drive online reviews, Kelsey. We're sending people to TripAdvisor, we're sending them to Viator, Get Your Guide, or wherever you're listed online, and we're trying to get as many reviews as possible. How are we supposed to balance that with getting feedback from people? Well, that is certainly a challenge. I encourage people to to always be collecting as much feedback as possible, because honestly, like I said, that's going to drive the growth of your business, and that's what's going to drive the growth of your online reviews. If you can get this first part right, that you're going to lead kick-butt tours, you have amazingly inspired guides, creating memories of a lifetime, you're not going to need to worry about those online reviews, because people will go and leave them. They'll be so touched and moved by your incredible service, by your incredible experience. But here's a potential feedback flow that can help you with this. After somebody comes on your experience, activity, or tour, we want to follow up, because we want to solicit the feedback. We have to ask for it in some way or another. Here's one way you can do it: by email. Would you be comfortable leaving a 5-star review for us? And give them 2 options. Option 1, yes, I would love to let people know about my great experience. Take them directly to your most important site. If they click that first option, take them to the most important review site. If that's TripAdvisor, maybe you can do little campaigns too if you want to get some more reviews on your Facebook page or on your Google business listing. Those are both great places to spend a little bit of time getting some reviews. You can use that link to direct them directly to your business. Option 2. Would you be comfortable leaving a 5-star review for us? No, but I have some feedback to help make your tour better. Boom! You click that. Where are we taking them? To your personal feedback survey. You can create these surveys in Google Forms. Wufoo and SurveyMonkey are 2 other great simple online survey forms. And again, they're so great because they'll often put the responses into a spreadsheet or a place where all of that is collected. So instead of, again, think those Word documents or written evaluations, which have their place. You might want to use written evaluations to solicit feedback. Some people even have iPads that they collect feedback right from people after their experience finishes. But by having that digitally collected, it can then be digitally organized. So you can very quickly see your average rankings with your number scores, say for your tour or for your thing. You can see comment sections. It's just fantastic, these digital forms. So this is one way that we could help for those of you who are saying, I just don't know how to do this well. This is a great way. One of the most important things you need to teach new guides is understanding the service promise. And the service promise, basically I would explain this to all new guides that I worked with. Excuse me here. The ability to provide what was promised dependably and accurately. That's it. That's it. Anyone who's working in the service industry, whether it's in the travel, tour and activity sector or in hotels, accommodation, beyond, this is the basic premise of what we're doing. The service promise is the ability to provide what was promised dependably and accurately. And there's a great quote here from a researcher: "We don't need it, we're going to push on." Most tour guides fail to meet their guest expectations because they don't know what they are. Man, this is what I shout from the mountaintops every day in most workshops and certainly in our online programs. Your guides, your tour leaders, your activity facilitators need to know what your guests' expectations are. A stroll through any tour company's 2- and 3-star reviews is a walk through a lush jungle of unfulfilled expectations. It's a really fantastic exercise. Whether it's your own online reviews, go and look at those 2, 3-star, 4-star, in that middle range and kind of cut off the ends. And you're going to see people that maybe had a great experience, but they had an unfulfilled expectation, there was a miscommunication at some point, there was a disappointment, and it almost always relates back to a guest expectation. A training program should include a thorough review of your guest expectations. Right? We want to set our guides, our leaders up for success. The right questions you want to ask yourself: what promises have been made to our guests? 2, how do we as staff fulfill those promises? So you can encourage your guides, or you yourself want to review all communication that you have with your customers. Everything from email correspondence, what's on your website. Your tour descriptions are obviously super important for this. Travel planners that you may send out for your experiences. Online reviews, images, media, etc., etc. And essentially you want to create a discrete list, meaning here are all the things we need to make sure every single guest of ours receives. And it can, it will have some very obvious things, like one, like, okay, well, we advertise that the tour starts at 1 p.m. online. We got to make sure that our tour starts at 1 p.m. We don't want to be waiting around for 15 minutes. We said 1 p.m., we start at 1 p.m. Tour ends at this time. It starts here, it ends here. We are going to see this, this, and this, and this. It's going to have an included site. We're going to cover the history of and you're going to create basically almost like a job description or a checklist that your guides and staff are going to tick off, and they're going to get comfortable knowing that every single guest that's coming has these expectations or potentially has them. We want to support our guides in this. Give them copies of marketing materials and travel planners, and take the time to share your policies, protocols, and procedures. Even if they aren't necessarily involved in the delivery, say, the refund policy, say, they should know who to direct the guest to, or they should have a really clear idea of what your refund policy is, or your cancellation policy, these sorts of things, because it's going to set them up for success and align their knowledge of guest expectations with reality. This is one of the first things I would do. I'd be leading training new guides on a week-long tour, and there's a lot of expectations on a week-long tour, and the first thing I'll ask them is, have you printed off the travel planner that was sent to your guests? And inevitably the answer is, no, kind of. I say, okay, thing one, get any material that was sent to your guest, and then you as the guide or leader should review that. And that may be a travel planner for you. It might be just your tour description online. It might be the emails that were sent to them. Have those out so that your guides can review them, and so they can see, oh wow, in our travel planner we actually made a really big deal about this particular part of the history or this particular story, or we teased about this, and I wouldn't have known about that, or the fact that I had to finish sharing that story, or those sorts of things, if you hadn't read those materials. Cool. Want to be 100% guest focus. Encourage our guides and staff to doing this. Break your tour into each step a customer will go through and analyze each one for pain points, inconveniences, confusion. All of this is work that we want to inspire our guides to do. I've got to push on because I want to talk about this tour leader coaching card. Here are 5 ways tour companies can improve when mentoring new staff. 1, automate feedback from both guests and coworkers. Automation is the key word. So one of the big things that you can do to help this a whole lot is to have tour operator booking software. It's basic. There's all kinds of reasons why I think you should do this or consider doing this or have some sort of automated system for your experience or activity. But one of the best reasons is because you can automate the collection of feedback from your guests. You can build a way for guides to be evaluated by their peers, supervisors into that as well, but it's really from the guests that you can automate. You don't have to manually be sending emails. If they come in your experience, if they make a reservation, you can follow up with one of those feedback forms. It's going to give you more evals, more feedback, more online reviews, and more information to help you and your staff grow. So key. So that was automating your feedback as much as possible. Make it easy. Make it painless. 2, mentor your new staff. This is where that ongoing mentoring happens. I was so happy to see such a high number that so many of you are working with your guides over the course of the season. That's absolutely the right thing to do. We don't want to wait to the end of the season to highlight what they were doing wrong. We want to guide them partway through the season to correct their course or polish or hone a particular skill if they need to. So a lot of you probably do things like this, but have new staff shadow tours. And shadow just means go along on the tour as a guest to kind of see how maybe you or one of your experienced guides work. But afterwards, take the time to debrief the experience and answer their questions. This is where I find a lot of times it's the missing element. If possible, pair up experienced staff with new staff, or have the experienced staff shadow the new guides tour. That's really nice as well. I would often do that. I would go on a tour of a brand new person and then be debriefing with them to talk about it. Now we're just doing a quick check on the time. Oh man, I was chatty today. I've got a couple more big points. We're going to move quickly through them. Debriefing. I could talk about debriefing for at least 2 hours, but here is a very quick guide to help you with this exercise and why I think it's so important with new staff. So let's use a very quick example to make this clear. We've got 3 steps: what, so what, and now what. And so the example will be, okay, I've got a brand new leader that was shadowing me on tour, and it was a day-long tour. At lunch, I went around and checked in with some of the guests. So after the tour, we're doing the debriefing. I say, well, what were some of the things that you saw as new staff, as a new guide, that I did? And this is the what stage. What were some of the things that you saw? Simple observations on skills, techniques, behaviors that were used. And they'll say, well, I noticed that you seem to go around and check in with some of the guests at lunch. I heard you say, how things were going, if they had any questions, was there anything that you could do to make the tour extra special for them? I thought that was really cool that you checked in with some people like that. And then you can correct that, and I can say, oh, well, did you know I actually checked in with every single one of the guests, or each one of the families or couples on the tour? Oh, I didn't know that. You actually went around to everyone. Yes, and that's super important that you check with everyone, because that's showing that you care about each individual on your tour. Okay, so then you go, so what? So why do you think we would want to do that? And this is a question I ask that new tour guide. So you saw that I was doing that, but so what? Why should we do that? Why should you consider doing that? And they might come up with the answer, well, I see that that's really nice touch. People feel that that's a personal touch to your tour, and you can elaborate on that. So what? Absolutely. It's so important to check in with people, to make sure that they feel like you care about their experience, that you've shown above and beyond kind of a personal connection with them, that you do care about their experience. And they say, oh, okay, great. And then the now what is, of course, how should the leader apply this new knowledge into their guiding? So you've got those 3 stages. I would love to talk more about it, but let's quickly look at this coaching card. So this is what you're going to be getting here in just a moment. It's an ideal tool for frank and open discussions about performance and growth of your guides. These performance reviews can happen between senior guides and new leaders, or directly with management. It's the always be learning principle in action. Don't only use them as year-end reviews, this card, but you want to use it over the course of the season. You can certainly use it at the beginning, middle, and end. But it's got 3 sections of this coaching card. That's what it looks like there, but let's talk quickly about the 3 sections. Be quite obvious, but framed really nicely in a positive way. 1, got it down. These are skills, actions, and phrasing that the leader uses regularly with confidence and understanding. Things that they're kicking butt at, things that you want them to keep doing, they've really got down. It's important to highlight those and ensure that they keep happening, and encourage, not the word there, celebrate the successes is what I'm trying to say. 2, making progress. The leader has shown improvement in the use of the skills listed here, but hasn't got them down securely yet. Right? These are areas that could use a little finesse, a little polish. And 3, every tour leader is always improving. Here's stuff to work on. These are some skills that the leader can focus on next, or that need to be changed. These might be challenges, things that really need to address. But notice how we frame that nice and positively. Every tour leader is always improving. Here's some areas where you can focus. Pro tip, as we bring this to a close. When I was mentoring guides, we would both take the time to fill out the coaching cards separately. This is kind of another technique that you can use, and we came together and compared responses. Right? So say after a month or a month and a half, we'd come and do this check-in. We would both fill out that coaching card. And then when we came together, we could compare the responses. But the big thing is that it allowed guides to reflect and take ownership over areas where they could improve, and also over areas that they were doing really well. Right? Because more often than not, the guides themselves know that this is an area maybe where they could work, where they are not quite as skilled, and it's really wonderful to allow them to have the ownership over that. And you can say, yeah, no, I think you're right. I think that's an area where we could use a couple techniques to improve in this area. How can I help you do that? Or here are some ways to help you do that. And it's really, really nice. And it's also a great way to correct any overconfidences too. Someone say, yeah, wow, gosh, I'm really good at X, Y, and Z. And you can come in and say, well, actually, you're not that good at X, Y, and Z. Or we've actually gotten a lot of feedback from guests saying this is an area where you could work a little bit harder. And that is a nice conversation to have. The last couple things here. Embrace technology. I'm going to skip this poll, I think, Ayako, just in the interest of time, but just if you had an online component, I was just curious, but let's just push through it to wrap this up. So there's lots of online training resources from Be a Better Guide, and I wanted to say, of course, Training Aid. It was another fantastic resource who are bringing training resources to the web. Absolutely, absolutely take advantage, just like many of you are, of these workshops, of these online training resources for guides and tour businesses. But you yourself can also record and showcase great tours. Get that amazing tour that you led or that your top leader has led on video with some good audio, and you can share that with new people. And the Be a Better Guide Academy, as I mentioned, is really cost-efficient use of training budgets. There's lots of inexpensive opportunities for growth and professional development for your team. Investing in training is investing in your success, right? In essence, that learning and development is at the core of what high-performing tour companies do. The most successful tour companies on the planet know that their guides and their leaders are the bedrock of their business. And if they can inspire, motivate them to really be 100% focused on the guest experience, everything else is going to fall into place. When you commit to leading amazing tours, the real tangible results, I'll go through these so quickly, you get more rave reviews. Your customers become the loyal fans. They're going to be doing the marketing for you because they're going to tell everyone about the incredible experience that they've had. You're going to sell more tours and the ability to raise your prices. That might be your end game too, so that you can maybe take a little bit more time to yourself. You can prove that coming on your tour is worth it because you're going to have that social proof to back it up. So we don't know why you came today. If you have your own small business, if maybe you find there's 1,000,001 things to do every day, everything from payroll, accounting, marketing, social media management, customer service, online promotion. As a small business owner, operator now, I can relate so much to this. But in your heart, you're committed to making your tours and experiences truly memorable. And you want to stand out from those other tours offering mediocre service, cookie cutter options. And that's awesome. Maybe you've got a team of guides or group of tour leaders, and you want to make sure that they have the training they need to succeed and the skills to get consistent rave reviews from your customers. Right? A lot of you may have built a successful activity business, but are now kind of struggling to build that team of guide that can deliver the same high level of customer service that you could. And that is a big challenge, right? Well, we can help you on your journey. Just the fact that you're here for this workshop shows that you're committed to finding, training, mentoring amazing tour leaders. There's so many companies out there that wouldn't even think twice about coming to a workshop like this. So far off the radar, they're just about turnover, get as many guests through their system as possible, and very money focused. And I absolutely love that you would take the time to come and join a workshop like this. We do have this step-by-step system to transform your team of guides into one that stands out from the crowd. It's our Extraordinary Guiding Training for Teams program at the Be a Better Guide Academy. What is it? It's an online video-based learning platform that shows your guides step-by-step how to lead amazing tours. Just imagine if you had the opportunity to bring award-winning, world-class tour guide trainers to come and mentor your guides, to show them some best practices, give them practical tips, techniques to create memories of a lifetime for guests. What would that be worth to you? It's pretty incredible. I'm not going to talk any more about it. We've got real businesses who are getting real results in the Be a Better Guide Academy. We've got guides actually from Canada, USA, Australia, Finland, Israel, England, France, Ireland, Scotland, beyond. I don't know if we do have Germany yet. God, I've got to get some folks from Germany in on the program, but they're getting these incredible results with their teams, and so can you. And so I'd love to talk to you about that if you have any interest at all. You can learn more at academy.beabetterguide.com or email me directly. That's my email there. It's very simple, kelsey@beabetterguide.com. So just before we move into the Q&A, and I know we had a couple questions sent in, your webinar bonus, Tour Leader Coaching Cards. This is the URL where you can get it, leadamazingtours.com/coaching card. Maybe I can copy this link, Ayako, and we can post it in the comments. Copy, yeah. That's where you can go and find that coaching card, and experiment with it. Maybe you'll find it's super useful. Maybe you can tweak it to meet your own needs. But all in all, I wish you all the best with your best of luck with your hiring, with your recruiting, and of course with your training. Thank you so much for being here, and I would love to spend a bit of time answering your questions if you've got any. That sound okay, Ayako?
Thanks so much, Kelsey. I just wanted to jump in and say, because we are a little bit over time, but thanks so much again for all the tips and examples and everything. That I think it was sort of jam-packed lessons. And for everyone who is watching and would like to revisit this session, as I mentioned earlier in the beginning of the session, we're going to have the recording of the session available from our website, so you can rewatch it and learn more and revisit the lessons that you might have missed or want to revisit. And that goes for everyone who may have missed the live event as well. And I would just like to say thank you for everyone who joined the live session. And as I understand that, everyone, as time is important, and if you're leaving at this point, of course, thanks so much for joining. As you see, the link that Kelsey shared is in the comment section. So before you go, make sure to grab that. And Kelsey, maybe the last quick thing that I wanted to mention was that we received a question from somebody in Canada, Paula, who has a nonprofit and is developing a local community tours, and was interested in hearing from you about advice on recruiting and training non-professional community members as tour leaders. And if you have any quick comments on that, that would be great as a closing.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the folks who are still here, I see a few quick thanks from Nayan and Summer. Thank you so much for tuning in. Anyone who's still on, quickly type in those questions. We'll try and get to them. Yeah, this was a great question from Paula. She was basically advice on recruiting and training non-professional community members on leading walks. So hopefully, Paula, you're able to catch this workshop, and maybe you're here still, is a lot of those techniques for recruiting people will work regardless if it's you're trying to find professional guides or trained guides or those sorts of things. So you can certainly use those same techniques to think about, well, who would be this ideal community member to lead walks or to get involved with your association, right? And really think about, are they retired people? Are they people who've been living in that community for a while? Do they have specific language requirements? Where would somebody who is maybe Iranian or speaks Farsi, where are they hanging out if we need some Iranian people to help lead guides? So you can use those same techniques to get in front of those people. Go to them. You're going to have to, they don't know you exist right now, so you've got to go and make your job offer appeal to them. And think about what emotionally resonates with them. Maybe meeting new people, maybe sharing the place that they love, those sorts of things. So hopefully you got some tips from this workshop that will help you, Paula. That's awesome that you're down in Toronto. Feel free to shoot me an email. I'm just up in Georgian Bay right now. Hey, Paula's here. Very cool.
Yeah, I saw that too. Kelsey, can you maybe go one back to show your email address again, just in case?
Yes, I can. Up Kelsey at beabetterguide.com.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say, in closing, for everyone, I'm sure a lot of you have learned a lot, but also maybe by learning a lot, you may have come up with a lot of more questions. And I encourage everyone to contact Kelsey, pull out his email accounts with questions. And as you see on the screen is Kelsey's email address. And thank you so much again, Kelsey, for the great presentation and lots of pro tips that you shared, which I'm sure have been a lot of value to all of the participants. And so this closes our live session, but I look forward to seeing many of our participants in our future sessions. Just quickly, we have starting next week and an exciting series of live sessions coming up for the summer. We're working with an organization in Asia called Wild Asia, featuring some of the responsible tourism leaders from the region. So that's coming up. And that's it for for now from us at Training Aid. Thank you again, Kelsey, and Be Adventure.
Thank you so much, Ayako. You guys do a great job at Training Aid. It was a pleasure to be involved. Have a wonderful day, everybody, no matter where you are, and good luck out there.
Thank you, and thank you, everyone. Goodbye.